Behind.
KCAA Radio, Loma Linda, where no listener is ever left behind.
Welcome, listening audience, to the Cool Veteran Hour. It's good to have you guys back. Good to be back on the air again here. As we wind down the end of the year, we want to bring some interesting topics to you. Talk about a few things that have been happening, and with us. Of course, my name is Charles Whitehead. I'm your veteran host, and I have two co-hosts who are coming on. Martha Barella. I believe Martha's on the line already. Are you with us, Martha?
Hello, everyone.
All right, say hello. And Elizabeth Yao. I don't know if she's made it yet. We like to straggle in. We're kind of like, that's what makes us cool. We don't just do it the way people are supposed to do it. So, but I'm a Army veteran, Army Reserve veteran, and I've been doing a lot. I'm a musician, of course. The whole premise of the show is called "Cool." Is a song I wrote, and that's our intro and exit music. The song "Cool," and there are a lot of plans. We have new plans. We're coming up with new sponsors, and things are going to be going on later on here down the line. But 2026 is going to be a whole new spin on what we've been doing, and what we will be doing. How's your day going, Martha?
Good so far. Like Charles said, I am also an Army veteran, Minnesota Army National Guard veteran, to be exact. I'm also a very fierce advocate when it comes to veterans, particularly around women veterans and homeless veterans. So I've been actively working with the veteran community for the last 6-7 years now in the Los Angeles area. Just really passionate about, resource development, resource acquisition, pilot projects, and all that good stuff to help, just spread the word to the veteran community at large. It's just a lot of resources there, everything from business development to, again, housing, basic needs. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, something I've been working, again, in particular with the community here in Los Angeles for almost the past 7 years now.
Oh, that's great. And I know we have Liz. Liz is on the show. I call her Lizzie. Elizabeth, yeah. I believe, Lizzie, are you a Navy veteran? Lizzie, come on, say hello to the listening audience. Tell us how.
Hello,
give
good
us a good
afternoon,
info.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Charles. Yes, I am a Navy veteran.
And so, what is it that tell us, what did you do when you were in the Navy? What was your MOS?
I was a cryptology technician operator, so I worked in the intelligence division of the Navy, and top secret security clearance type things. And we were using the word cryptology before anyone ever knew what that ever meant. So I remember when I got out of the military, and I would have that on my resume, and people would say every single time, "Oh, what is cryptology?" And now we use it like it's a like it's the most common, commonplace word in our everyday language now. So interesting how it's developed over the years.
That's good. Yeah, I was still in the audience just shortly before you came. We're gonna 2026 is going to bring a new beginning. We're going to start doing some things that we haven't been doing before, and things that we haven't done. And we want to make sure our audience is there to know what we're doing. Of course, my main thing is me being a musician, and I promote the music. And I'll talk about a subject today about music. I'll start it off right here. My mentor, I've been this music thing. Now they have all of this AI stuff going, and I'm kind of like from old school. started writing my music from scratch. I bought a 26-track recorder. I was using hardware. Everything would be recorded in. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, then I got a little bit more sophisticated and started adding the computer. And then I figured out I could start recording straight through the computer. And that helps a lot. And most of the time now, even as I travel, I'm doing music. I'm literally like sitting on an airplane. I'm writing a song using my program. And now my mentor, a guy whose first job was to engineer for Aretha Franklin, he gave me a call about a month and a half or so ago and started telling me about, and he's big. He's big. When I say big, he is big in the industry, in the music and the movie industry. And I mean, the guy's worked for Phil Collins, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie. You can name them, and it just goes on. He called me and pushed to promote the AI music. I was like, wait a minute, I must be hearing things. I must be hearing things. Are you telling me? He says, Charles, he's like, he's got a slew of songwriters that he works with. Sometimes he's mixing their music. People on the other side of the world, because of the digital nature, he's mixing and mastering music for people all over around the world from his home studio. And when he told me about this, I was like, I heard about it, but I was kind of like skeptic. I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of cheating. He said, no. He said a couple of his songwriters called him up, had him on the phone, and told him, just give me a quick little melody. And he sang a little melody to him while he was on the phone. They put it into we use the app called Suno. I'm not promoting Suno, but I am. And he said they spit out a whole song, and I've tried it, and I'm totally impressed with what I've seen. And I passed this on to the class that I teach. I teach a songwriting class through Rancho Los Amigos National their Wellness Center, and I couldn't believe it. I actually shared that information with them, and they was like, wait a minute, aren't you kind of against AI? I said, well, when you think about it, I still am a purist. I write my own music, from A to Z, and the lyrics, the instruments, all of this. But this is a boost, and so I wanted to spread that and let you guys know that, wow, there are things. And I mean, outside of the music part, they're doing videos, and of course, like Grammarly, things like Grammarly. People have been using AI for a little bit now, but it's really taken off, and I'm impressed with what I've seen. Of course, you always see have the nefarious thoughts of like, those people, watch out, it gets into the hands of the wrong people. Well, that's with anything you invent. So that's we just have to go on and on. So that's my take on the music part. And of course, I like to throw in, I've been working alongside the American Rootsy movement for about five or 6 years now, I don't know. And I really, really have a heart to help the founders. The founder of Ann Montague, and I mean, Ann's 86 years old, and she calls me, and she's on the East Coast, and we're trying to, I'm on the board of directors, she put me on the board, and Ann is like, I get a call from her at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m. I'm on the West Coast here in the L.A. area, and she's calling me at 1 o'clock. I'm like, Ann, what are you doing up? She said, I got this idea, and I'm like, wow. So these are kind of things that I've really put my heart into. I believe in helping veterans, people with disabilities, and just helping to spread music to make the heart beat happier way. So, with all that said, I'm gonna let Elizabeth and Martha tell us kind of what they're looking forward to in the upcoming year. It's not a New Year's resolution, just kind of like, what you see in the future with your endeavors. Elizabeth?
Oh, sure. My future endeavors. So, I really look forward to helping leaders develop. I think for me, to be successful, no matter what business or sector of business or type of business, for-profit, nonprofit, leadership is key, right? And we should be ever developing as leaders, no matter what capacity we're serving in. So I really want to be an asset, someone who's really worked the trenches in developing that, witnessing that, researching that, and getting real-time feedback from leaders, and not just leaders in my own circle or even my own culture, but leaders from around the world. Because we live in such a global society now. We live in and work in such cross-cultural, cross-background, cross-generational environments where if we don't learn how to lead, not only just ourselves, which is the most important, but learn how to lead maybe when your leadership is not leading, effectively or to your liking, right? Maybe those are some hard times where you're needing to kind of double down, humble yourself, so you can learn what to do and what not to do, right? What you'd like to replicate or mimic, what you don't want to ever try, right? So for me, I just want to be an asset in that capacity, especially for our veterans who are really a lot of veteran business owners. And I'm glad to see, I don't know if you've all noticed, but more and more networks, more and more commercials, more and more products and services that veterans, own or at the forefront of developing or leading or presenting, is wonderful to see that. So I definitely want to help. And it's helpful to me because I learn as I'm helping others, sharing resources to help them along the way as well. So that's really my goal. That's how I like to finish out life. And, also bring up our next generation, our youth, that tends to get lost in translation sometimes. We don't want to forget this is our next generation of leaders, right? So it's really important to, connect with organizations, and really try to be a partner in helping develop our youth, our young professionals, even our midlife professionals, to realize and navigate, a lot of challenges that come up, life events that come up along the way. So that's my goal and, my prayer, honestly. Mm-hmm.
All right, great. How about you, Martha?
Part of the same, message that we heard from Elizabeth. We, as we get into our midlife sort of career path, it's always good to kind of reevaluate, where we're headed and sort of what the needs are of the larger community. So I know for me, as I mentioned, I've been doing some really good work with women veterans, really trying to reevaluate and create the space that they need to kind of be successful with health and wellness. And that's one of the things that we all can always continue to improve on, right? Whether it's setting boundaries in our, work-life space or, our physical, mental health and well-being, whether we're mothers or we're, what have you, wives, partners. It's, something that comes across more often than not that we just kind of have to always continue to keep focused on. And so for me, that's one of the things as I always say, jokingly, crossing the 50-yard line, continuing to make sure that I don't lose sight of that for myself, but for others. And in particular, as I mentioned, women and the women veterans that I've worked with. So I'll talk a little later about one of the wonderful pilot programs that we're working together on, a small group of women and myself that are kind of working to develop and just kind of the wonderful things that we have learned so far in the pilot. But just those are some of the things that I think for me definitely are a focal point and something that I want to focus on, in the next 25 years to however long I have to be blessed on this earth. But, just something we continue to, just make time for and something to keep, focused on.
All right, great. So we're going to take a short 3-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to go to Elizabeth with the Business Corner, and we'll see you back in a few. All right, we are back. That was the Angela Matson song that I wrote about a friend who attempted to go to Hawaii. She was successful, but she took it on, and that was called Challenge Accepted. Lizzie, can I call you Lizzie on the air, so I just called you Elizabeth?
I think you can do both, Charles. Only you.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Lizzie has a lot of information about the Business Corner, and this is her segment. So go ahead and fire away. Let us know what you're doing, what you got, and Martha and I will come in and talk about some of that stuff. So this is good stuff.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Charles, and so happy to be back on the air with you, Martha, as well. So thanks again for this time, and thanks to all our listeners, and especially our host, KCAA Talk Radio, the station that leaves no one listener behind. So I am Elizabeth Yo. I'm also, as you know, a fellow veteran, Navy veteran, to our host and hostess, and certified business coach and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And, my goal is really to support our veteran leaders in the business community, as I mentioned earlier, and aspiring business owners. So during each session, we will dive into topics centered around becoming better and better in our leadership, because we all know it's not easy being a leader, no matter what capacity we are leading, right? So let's share, learn, and grow together as we strive to become even better leaders. So you also can join in our conversation. We encourage you to do so by dialing the station at 909-383-1000 at any point during the show. So, as we are rapidly approaching a new year, I don't know about you all, but there have been many changes, many challenges. And as with most, many are financial, some positional. And I love what Martha said earlier. Sometimes it's good to take a step back, to reset, regroup, kind of reassess, right? And as we move into a new year, whatever capacity or challenge we might be facing, it is really good to look not only at our, physical lives, but our financial structures as well, right? Because that's kind of a baseline for all of us. And sometimes things are happening so fast, we fail to plan, right? Not necessarily intentionally, but nonetheless, it can and does happen. And as we know, planning really is essential. We can all agree on that, because it does create like a roadmap for success. It can help reduce stress when you know what you have going on and what's to come. And it helps us make better use of our limited time and resources. So planning a plan will help us really achieve our goals, as well as help clarify our goals and our objectives. And sometimes, as Martha mentioned so eloquently, we need to step back and reassess, because life happens, and a lot of times it happens very unexpectedly. So it's good to have that plan in place, right? So, many are trying to create wealth, right? We hear it all the time, everywhere. And it is important that we plan, right, and keep it reasonable with just 5 moves at a time. So if you've been tuning in the last few months with us, we have been taking a journey through a wonderful resource entitled Your Next 5 Moves, Master the Art of Business Strategy by Patrick Bet-David. And if you're not familiar with Patrick, he is the creator of Valuetainment, a YouTube channel for entrepreneurs. He's also the founder of PHP, a financial services agency, and he's an Army veteran, 101st Airborne Division. So during our last show, we discussed that sometimes when things seem uncertain, sometimes when they're totally chaotic, even dismal, right? It is during times like these that we can either start to fear, get angry about what is happening, or we can start to take a really long, hard look at our lives, a deep look, right, especially as leaders, and think about what's an effective strategy, right, to move forward when our emotions may be running high, or maybe we become overwhelmed with fear of the unknown as things change. What if our ego is in the way, right? So as these things happen, challenges, troubles, or even life events, and as I shared, I had a major one this year, 2 major ones really, that's a great time where we can kind of step back, as Martha mentioned, and gain some clarity, develop a strategy, right? Develop some growth tactics, not just like technically, but personally, right? Professionally. Maybe that's a great time to grow our skills, gain some new ones, gain some new insight. And so, as Patrick suggests in this wonderful resource, there are 5 moves that leaders should really think about mastering. And we've been moving through move number 1, which is to master knowing yourself. And so we have talked about the most important product we need to study before we do anything is ourselves, right? We have to develop a desire for growth, right, in every level. Survival, right, we're just working to pay bills, or status, right? People want nice things. There's nothing wrong with that. And then we get to a point where we want freedom, right? Like Martha mentioned earlier, you get to the midlife level, like, okay, maybe your kids are grown, maybe you've done this job for 20 years, maybe things are you're just not where you were then. You're grown. You want something new, different, right? You want to break free. You want more time, right? Time and money, right? And then we get to a point in our lives where we want to make an impact, right? We gain that purpose, that God-given purpose. So today we're going to close out move number 1, and I'm excited to get your thoughts and input on this, Charles and Martha, about creating wealth, right? Are you an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur? And really, what is the difference? Because these terms are thrown around all the time, because both really involve identifying opportunities, developing new ideas, and bringing those ideas to market. But in an entrepreneurial role, that requires a really high level of independence. And sometimes that's hard, right, to keep yourself motivated, right? The ability to take risks or make decisions because there's a lot going on. But transitioning into an entrepreneurial role within a larger organization, this individual may have the opportunity to learn new skills, develop unique expertise, and gain some valuable experience working within a more structured environment. So this type of opportunity can be particularly beneficial for individuals looking to expand their professional skill sets and advance their careers. So we're just going to touch base on 5 short qualities about the entrepreneur, right? And let's see if you identify with these. So number 1, entrepreneurs think like an entrepreneur, work like an entrepreneur. They possess this urgency of an entrepreneur. They are innovative like an entrepreneur, and they're usually protecting the brand and money like an entrepreneur, right? They don't think like regular employees. They think like owners. They think about working to build something that gives them pride and fulfillment in doing so. But they want recognition, autonomy, resources, and ownership. So the main difference is entrepreneurs are differential to authority, while entrepreneurs are more defiant, or entrepreneurs are more defiant. So, if you don't have that degree of respect for a founder or current CEO that you're working for, you're not in the right place to build a business. So does this sound like you? Are you more of the entrepreneur? And I wonder, do we start out really as entrepreneurs, right? We're working for somebody, or we're on a board, or we're part of an organization that's not our own necessarily, right? So we're in the confines of some structure here, right? We can't just do whatever we want, although we can have great ideas that would make it better, but the people don't necessarily have to listen, and sometimes don't, and that can be really frustrating for that entrepreneur, which is why a lot of times we break out and become entrepreneurs, because we don't want those limitations. But it's a risk, right? Because you don't have that structure. You have to develop that and stick to it yourself. So where do you stand? Charles, I know you are quite the entrepreneur. So you, I think we all maybe start out as we become, our independent entrepreneurs and doing multiple things as business owners and developers. It's wonderful, but we have to start somewhere. So what are your thoughts?
Entrepreneur at heart. Even, at the young age of 22, I started a limousine service, so I've always had the business. I went to school. I went to college, and I didn't even finish because I started a limousine service. I started business, and I'm always, as you guys know, people tell me, man, you always got your hand in something. But, this is me. My heart drive, what drives me is doing things, having that independence to be able to do what I like to do, and make something happen. Yeah, it hasn't been challenging. Yeah. I've done limousine services, trucking. I've done some other things that were just like, this is who I am. Working with the over at the games, I got a partner, and we started doing concession stands at the Coliseum at the Rams games and the USC games. I even went to New Orleans and to do alcohol training over at the Superdome. So these are things I'm always in something, and I enjoy what I do. That's the thing. And I had a 9-to-5 for 20-something years, but I was always doing something on the side. And my supervisor was like, he says, I don't see how you do it. Where do you get the energy? He said, "You the jack of all trades." I'm like, "Hey, I do it because I'm having fun with it. Or else I wouldn't be doing it." But you're right. I am an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs take some of, but at the end of the day, I am an entrepreneur. What are you going to think?
I like what you said. I knew you were a natural entrepreneur. I think I started out, and like you said, the 9 to 5, and I always was doing something on the side. I didn't really dive fully into the side of really realizing until COVID happened. I think COVID, maybe the physical health side was a total disastrous nightmare, but it definitely was a great time to reset, regroup, and really reassess your life. I mean, what are we doing? I felt like we were kind of all in this rat race, kind of running. A lot of times when you're just working and surviving, right? Sometimes just existing. Until that happened, maybe people had never had a chance to just sit back and literally have no choice but to think about their lives. And that could be good or bad, but either way, it is what you could make of it if you had, ownership of your life like that, right? So I think that really it was a real blessing in disguise for me and for many, as I've talked to many people over the years. I don't know if I ever would have come to the realization that, I want to do something else. I want to I want to try to. I have all these skills. Why am I just? I feel like they were wasting away when I could be doing so much more. So I started volunteering more and started doing more to help, and you meet more people, and that's how we ended up meeting, right, Charles? So I mean, it's a blessing.
Absolutely. And I think that's how we Martha and I also ended up meeting. Have we lost Martha? Are you still with us, Martha?
Yes. No, and it's interesting because I think that, what do they say? To truly be successful in today's world, you have to have, 2 or 3 different streams of revenue. So in some way, shape, or form, some small business opportunity or, entrepreneurial side, gig of some sort. And I think that's interesting, has always been true for me too. Even at a young age, I started a babysitting, my own babysitting company as a teenager, and I would have, a small family in the summer, and then I would do, the neighbors on the weekends, the parents, so their parents could go out and get a break at a paper route, at 13 years old. So it's kind of learning those entrepreneurial skills. And more recently, just I have online morphed into an online boutique from the brick and mortar when I started grad school in 2019. But, it's interesting because Charles and I were just talking about having a conversation about that before we got on the call today about, a resource for veterans that are interested in starting their own businesses and the, partnerships that there is in place between the SBA, the Veterans Administration, and Mississippi State University called Boots to Business, just to kind of throw it out there. And it's, for any and all veterans, families, spouses that are interested in starting a business, and connection to the grants and loans and funding that's available at the SBA for veterans in particular, that people don't know about, And so, again, irregardless of what your business idea may be, or, if you currently own a business, it's open to, both business owners and or, existing business owners and or, new business owners, potential new business owners, for all, veterans, service members, just such a great resource because, again, that is becoming another viable form of income. People that would rather, run their own business than, say, work for others. But interestingly, too, I also have run my own small business, and I'm kind of considering maybe, looking into another business with my older children. So, yes, very important topic of discussion, I think, just across the board for everyone, kind of like you said, Elizabeth, post-COVID, when everything came to a halt and people really had to reassess what life was like, in that instance of and having to like take a break and really rethink. Okay, what do we got to do to be successful? And make sure that the needs of our particular families were being met. Kind of in that long pause, we all were forced to take. So, yes, very important, interesting, but important topic of discussion. Entrepreneurial.
I love it. I love the fact, so it's a commonality I'm just discovering with us. My son and I are, thinking of going into a business together as well. Really just coming up with alternative ideas and meeting others who are doing business with their kids. So I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome.
So
yeah, I definitely will share that information with you, Elizabeth, the Boots to Business information, because it's I was telling my son that today, it's and Charles as well, 6 weeks online or hybrid, because now post-COVID, I think when COVID hit, they were doing it completely online, but now, before COVID, it was in person. When COVID hit, it was online, and then now post-COVID, it's hybrid. So, whatever, meets, your needs, or whatever you can do most comfortably, they've got, options, which is great. I think that's kind of the best part of what we experienced during COVID, this new world of online and, hybrid space now, right? So I would love to share that with you, because it's, like I was telling Charles, it's 6 short weeks, again, a mix of either online and or in person or hybrid, whatever meets your needs. And it's an official program through Mississippi State University. It takes you from, square one to the final product of handing you over to the actual SBA, which that, I think, the jewel of the whole program, because that was never something any of us were really privy to or had access to, the funding stream. Because everyone can have, you can have the best business plan in the world, but if there's no, funding or revenue stream, or funding streams there to kind of help fund the business or get the business off the ground, it'll be just that, a great business proposal in writing form. So I'd love to share this with you, because I went through the program myself, have continued to motivate, kind of recruit other veterans to check it out. But it's a really, really great program. And I'd love to share Boots to Business.
I'm in it. I've been in it. And so I'm so glad you mentioned it. Yeah, it's a fantastic program. It is hands down. The information you gain in there is absolutely incredible. It is incredible. So I'm so glad you brought it up. That is fantastic. And I hope everybody, please, if you haven't visited the SBA, they have really revamped, and they're doing amazing jobs, and really they're held to account to make sure that the businesses that register with them are successful. And that is really fantastic. So thanks for sharing that, and I hope all of our listeners, if you are a veteran, know a veteran, please point them toward that direction. So thanks so much for bringing that up today, Martha.
That's good. That's good stuff. This is great information for the listeners to know. We're going to take a short break and listen to some music. When we come back, I want Martha to give us a quick review of. She did what do you call it? The horse program.
Yes, equine therapy.
Equine. Yes.
Although they don't use the word therapy, but. Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back in just 2 minutes, Joe.
Shoot-a-lip, beat-it, shoot-a-lip, beam-on. Shoot-a-lip, beat-it, shoot-a-lip, beam-on. Shoot-a-lip, beat-it, shoot-a-lip, beam-on. Shoot-a-lip, beat-it, oh-de-oh-de-oh-bom. Contradiction is the name of the game. Well, contradiction ought to be a shame. Contradiction all of the time. Contradiction blowing my mind. Say it again. Contradiction is the name of the game. Well, now contradiction ought ashamed. Good God, contradiction everywhere you turn. Well, now, contradiction, will we ever learn? Listen, you say you want peace, but you start a war. And you want to be free, but you pass a new law. Everybody's equal, but you segregator. Every man is your brother, but your neighbor you hate. Let's do it again now. Contradiction is the name of the game. Well, now, contradiction, you ought to be ashamed. Ooh, contradiction, all of the time. Good God, contradiction, blowing my mind.
You wanna be healthy, but you eat junk food. Pop pills, drink alcohol, and break all the rules. You wanna be wise and develop your mind.
All right. We are back with the Cool Veteran Hour. I have Elizabeth Yao, I have Martha Varela, and myself, Charles Whitehead, and we are over here just mixing it up, talking about great things. Before we go on, Martha, give us a quick summary of the equine therapy, and then we'll leave some room to make sure we identify how people can get in touch with us and all of that stuff.
Sure. As I mentioned, earlier, that I had an opportunity to work with Better with Horses, and it says, again, just for those who may not know anything about equine or horses or horse therapy, it's a program out of Santa Barbara, California, that works to help promote health and wellness. So the ideal term for the program is a health and wellness program with horses, and that's why it's referred to as Better with Horses. But the more generic term is the equine therapy, again, because we don't like to use the word therapy unless, again, there's more formal therapists, what have you. But the program was a pilot program to really include women veterans and sort of start focusing on the needs of women veterans for a couple of important reasons. The audience may or may not know. Women veterans are the largest growing population of military members currently. The women veteran population of women in the military, I should say, because veteran obviously refers to the status of once you're done serving your time in the military. But the growing number of women in the military is, something to be highlighted, because in the past that wasn't always the case. But now we have women, really joining the armed forces at, a broader, bigger number. Their needs then ultimately need to be a focal point, because as we know, there's lots more to just the physical injuries that we see. They kind of refer to those as sort of the invisible injuries as well. So things like the trauma, the MST, PTSD. So these sort of programs, again, are kind of growing organically. The Horse Project, Better with Horses, wanted to focus on women veterans, and so we came together, a small group of women, women veterans, to just really kind of focus on the health and wellness journey and put the needs of the women's health and wellness kind of as priority number one. And for me, being in the field of nonprofit and, work, as long as I've been kind of doing this for over 20 years, I have to say I have not done any work with horses other than a handful of times of actually just going horseback riding, which has nothing to do with sort of the magic that we experienced at the program, the Better with Horses and the Horse Project. And so, as I mentioned, being a professional in this line of work, I'm always interested in, creating and sort of, new programs and kind of working to address the needs of, communities that really need, to be focused on and worked with. But this was unlike anything I have ever experienced for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the horses that we were introduced to were also rescued horses, and so they have their own stories to tell. From again being rescued and from their own respective homes that they were in prior to coming to the ranch, but more importantly, how susceptible they were to being taught things like meditation. And I'm a big fan of meditation. I'm always, like I said, looking to alternative healing modalities to help, like I said, all groups, whether it's youth, families, children, what have you. But this was unlike, again, something I've ever experienced. And horses, I never knew could be taught some of these same skills, kind of like service animals, right? Service dogs that, can be taught how to help and assist, all people, not just veterans. But so this was...
And Martha, to be clear,
yes.
You're mentioning, let everybody know that you guys weren't actually riding the horses.
No.
You were.
No,
I've seen pictures. You were face to face with these horses, and these horses were like. So that was part of the therapy, just so so no one thinks that that it's about getting on the back. You never rode the horses.
And so you're right, and thanks for clarifying that, because I think that is sort of the general myth, is that if you go horseback riding, it's therapeutic, which it can be, and I'm sure for those who are avid horseback riders, do find some sort of therapeutic, benefit from riding horses. But absolutely, these horses were actually active participants in meditation, something that I have never experienced before, and I can't even begin to describe the beauty that I experienced. And again, I'm not a licensed social worker or a licensed therapist by any means. But although I do have a background in social work and education, but this was one of the most powerful experiences I have ever experienced to date in my professional career. And again, being able to be a part of a pilot project to create and extend this opportunity to other women and other women veterans was just so rewarding. So that was the one thing I wanted to really shine the light on, and thank you, Charles, for pointing that out. The second thing was that this group of women that comes together. There's a broad base of volunteers that work together with Linda and her at her ranch, at the Horse Project. That really, really, really needs to also be commended. When a large group of women can come together to really serve the needs of one another was also something that I don't get to experience very often. And I think as women, and as mothers in particular, we're so used to, taking on the needs of the family unit, right? The needs of whether you're a wife or mother, wife and mother. Those are just sort of sometimes the natural things that we do in our roles and the scope of, again, the women and respectively what our responsibilities are in each of our homes. So to be able to come together with a large group of women and actually let them serve you was something, again, we don't all get to experience. Sometimes we're not very receptive to it until we're kind of in that role. And it was very interesting for me, to kind of like experience that as well, as that's something to be said when women can kind of come together in that fellowship and really serve one another. So the other element to this program that I think really stood out was the concept around health and wellness. So in this, they would prepare very easy but very nutritious meals for the women to kind of show, again, like everything from meal prepping to, the organic ingredients, kind of letting women experience that so they could see how easy and quick and, just important that the nourishment is in terms of the food. So that was also weaved in to the program, which I think, again, until you kind of experience it, and we know being busy that like, okay, yeah, but the rule is, really making time to provide that nutritious meal, irregardless if we get busy, the first thing we want to do is go through the drive-thru at McDonald's. You know, fries and burgers are the staple of, you know, a lot of homes. It's like just the nature of what it is. But, you know, where that leads us down the road in terms of our health and well-being is not good. And when you kind of get to that point where it's like, oh, it's too late, again, you got to kind of like really refocus and regroup when it comes to what it is we're putting in our bodies and how does that look like in terms of, you know, the wellness. And so in particular for women veterans who suffer from a lot of health-related issues, this was, you know, a really, again, another part of this experience that really put things into perspective. And again, like from fruits and vegetables, but the modeling of that and kind of creating that for you, I think was another benefit to this program. And last but not least, the coaching that the women kind of provide throughout. There's like two kind of like bookshelf visits, one in the beginning and one at the end, and then kind of the coaching that you receive during the middle. So really just having to highlight, you know, this program, you know, unlike anything else I've ever experienced, something new that they're creating, but just really such a valuable resource for all women. Like I said, not just the women vets, but the women volunteers. You know, the beautiful location, of course, in Santa Barbara was also another, you know, another perk to this program. But wanting to, you know, continue as I will be working to you know, or to kind of help get another cohort of women up to the Horse Project and part of the Better with Horses program. So I'll kind of pause there, but I just wanted to share that really exciting experience that I had, you know, the opportunity to experience. And again, my role will be to continue to try to help promote the program and extend this opportunity for more women, in particular women veterans, to come and participate in.
Okay, thank you for that info, Martha. You know, that was very informative. You know, it's good for people to know. Elizabeth, I don't know if Elizabeth is still with us, but for her business line, her phone number, you can reach her at 323-599-7171. And that's for any business support or resources. They can contact her at the office. And again, you know, we appreciate her. We're coming with the information that she's having. It's like, you know, all of this information is important that we spread to the veterans and the people in the radio land, especially KCAA. This is where it's all at. If you can't, you know, we need to let people know where the projects are. Of course, there are projects everywhere, but some of them are unique, and we like to have our veterans and this our audience know, you know, this is something that you should be a part of. And you know, and again, the entrepreneur and the talk that Elizabeth gave us was perfect. You know, it is. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time describing who they are, but someone else like you guys can describe me. I can describe you and all, and that's it all works out. But we are here. I know we're a few minutes short. Martha, you have any information or contact information that someone needs to talk to about the horse therapy?
Yes, just really quickly, the website, before I forget, if anyone is interested, it's www.thehorseprojectsantabarbara.com. So for anyone who's interested in going to the website, they have some videos and photos of what, you know, we did when we were there. Please check it out if you can, if anyone is interested. And again, that website, www.thehorseprojectsantabarbara.com.
All right, that's great. I know we're a few minutes short right now. We're out. The Cool Veteran Hour. We'll see you next week, next 2 weeks. The station that leaves KCAA, the station that leaves no listeners behind. Out.
It's that time of year again. No, not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts, Paul Barrich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. That's 909-793-0385. Their services are free, and after 43 years in the business, their agents are trained to help you pick the plan that's right for you.
Our sponsor, Applied Earthworks, serves the Inland Valley in Southern California for over 24 years, specializing in cultural resource management, and expert in archaeology, paleontology, architectural history, and historic preservation, making it possible to build for the future without sacrificing our cultural heritage. Learn more and see employment opportunities at appliedearthworks.com. Progress and preservation. Applied Earthworks supports our veterans.
SoCal moves fast. Your business should too. If you're not on the first page of search results, you're losing customers. iLocal has helped businesses in SoCal dominate search results since 2009. Get a free site analysis for a limited time. iLocal. SoCal businesses start here. Get found. Be chosen. Call 310-870-3331. That's 310-870-3331. Or visit ilocal.net/SoCal. That's ilocal.net/SoCal.
Tune in to The Ferran Dozier Show. Music marks place and time, the soundtrack to life. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCAA Radio. Playing the hottest hits and the coolest conversations. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on The Ferran Dozier Show. With an array of music, talk, sports, community outreach, and veteran resources. With hits from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today's hits. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio on all available streaming platforms and 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio.